Heidi-ho neighbors, Radio Goji here, and welcome to Squeeze the World Toys. Today we're going to be continuing our look at Lupinranger vs. Patranger by reviewing the Deluxe Exchanger, which is the mecha used by Lupin X / Patran X. Basically, they're the same guy. It's less of a double agent like I thought he was going to be, and more of a guy who everyone knows is on both teams. At the very least, he does seem to genuinely care about his team members on both teams, so it's not like he's a jerk or something like I would expect from Super Sentai at this point with its extra rangers. In any case, though, Lupin X / Patran X, or X as I'm going to be collectively referring to him for simplicity's sake from here on out, has a big theme with trains. So first we had the dial fighters, which were planes, and we had the trigger machines, which were more land-based vehicles, and now we have the X trains, which are trains. And I know that I'm not on camera like this for these kind of toy reviews normally, but one of the major aspects of this is a change gun thing. This is the Deluxe Exchanger, which is a henshin device gun that is used by X to transform into either of his ranger forms. The reason I actually picked this up is because one of the major components of the robot is all contained in this. I wouldn't have gotten this otherwise. So I figure since this is a roleplay toy, we may as well take a look at all the neat sounds that it can make, because it can make sounds, don't you know? So obviously it is a gun sort of thing, much like the other Lupinrangers and Patrangers that use their VS changers as their main sidearms. X uses the Exchanger as his main sidearm, and it is very much gun-shaped and whatnot, although it looks less like a gun and more like a little gun that has two trains on top of it. Pulling the trigger obviously will make gun noises, so that's a thing. But there are many other sounds to be listened to, I suppose you could say. We're going to do some of the transformation noises with this, which are initiated by twisting this whole train assembly on the top. Basically, if we haven't done any transformation stuff yet, twisting this whole thing 180 degrees will make the initial transformation noise. Then twisting it again will put us into, in this particular case, Lupin X transformation mode. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we're going to twist this first. Twist it again. Pull the trigger. And now we're basically in Lupin X mode, and pulling the trigger from here will make different gun noises. And if we want to change to the other form, in this case Patran X, all we have to do is just flip this around again and pull the trigger. Like so. So pretty easy. Also, more gun noises here. Now from here there are some noises that involve launching the trains as well. By flipping this, if we flip this just 180 degrees, it'll go back into changing into Lupin X. But if we turn it around 360 degrees, it will play the train launching noises. And the train launching noises are the same no matter what mode you're in. So let's just go ahead and do that real quick. So just like this. And then like that. And pull the trigger, of course. And then pulling the trigger again will play out a voice clip about combining into X-Emperor, the robot. Now, there really isn't an easy way for me to have fun and integrate these combination noises into the actual combination of the robot, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and play it right here. X-Emperor Gunner is the form of X-Emperor that is used by Patron X. Now I'm just going to jump cut real quick, because in order to play the other noise, we have to change into Lupin X, then launch the train again, and yeah, so one moment. Okay, so I've done all that, so let's go ahead and pull the trigger and hear the other combination noise. X-Emperor Slash is the name of the form of X-Emperor used by Lupin X. Now, like I said, this does kind of separate into two of the X-Trains that we're going to be looking at. And it's very easy and straightforward to do. First off, we're going to go to the gun grip down here. This button here will actually unlock the ratchet on the grip, and we're going to lay it flat like so. And it's going to change into like the train noises that we'll hear in a bit. Then you can hold down the button on top of the silver train here to help let go of the joint there. And then there's another joint here that doesn't really have a button on it, but you can just disconnect it. So on the gold train then, just straighten out this joint in the back. And then this will twist. Well, actually, hold on. This actually needs to turn around the other way like that, so that this is out of the way, so when we twist this into place, it's fine. I'm going to put that off to the side here, and then with the silver train, just straighten out the joint. And so from here, we're going to go on to the table like we do for reviews as normal, so yeah. And now we're back to the normalcy of our usual reviewing place. So let's take a look at the X-Trains themselves. The X-Trains we have here in question are X-Train Silver and X-Train Gold. I know, very creative names. Now, unlike the trigger machines and the dial fighters, there really isn't any kind of way to trigger an attack mode via springs or anything like that. In fact, the silver trains that are more Lupin-related actually have fake dials on the back here, but you can't spin it or anything. It's just a solid piece. In fact, X-Train Silver and X-Train Gold don't actually have attack modes associated with them. They're just kind of there. They have wheels to roll around with. There is the neat looking hole, I guess, in the side of the gold train. I always kind of liken that to a boxcar that has its side open, like in the movies and whatnot. But at the very least, you can still push the trigger button thing here to make some train noises come up. And also, which I'm guessing is some kind of a cannon noise or something. Now, in the show, these two can connect back to back to make one big long train, but you can't really fully do that here. What you can do is you can disconnect the lead train from the back one, like that, and then just like connect it to the back of the other one. Mainly due to how the joints work. So here's like the silver and the gold hooked together like that. And you can also disconnect these, if you so choose, and hook them up to the other silver train back here. Let's move this. So you got that kind of thing going on, which is kind of neat. And the head trains also have like these the normal code bars on the bottom, so you can plug them into the VS changer for extra sounds. I mean, I don't have a VS changer to show you the sounds themselves, but I have seen them in other video reviews, and they're basically just kind of generic sounding things. There's nothing really custom toward X or either of his forms. It's just because they didn't really have X in mind, I don't think, when they made the VS changers originally. Now, these aren't the only components to X-Emperor. We actually do have two other, in my case, separately sold X-Trains. The first of these is X-Train Fire, which is a silver bullet train, much like Silver is. And it has wheels on it that rolls around, as you might expect. There's another fake dial on there. Again, can't really do anything. Now, this does have an attack mode, but you do have to manually deploy it. It's nothing that you can, again, trigger automatically through a button or something like that. So all you really need to do is just take these little parts on the side. They'll swing forward and lock into place. And this will give it little flamethrowers or something to that effect. I think that's how that were used in the show. And the other one that we have here is X-Train Thunder, which is a gold train, a gold steam, not necessarily a steam train, but more traditional looking train, kind of like X-Train Gold is. And its attack mode deploys a little bulldozer thing on the front. It kind of reminds me of Gao Gaigar a bit, like how, what was his name? Ryu, one of those many symmetrical docking guys. Ryu turned into a dump truck, but he also had lightning powers, and that kind of reminds me of that. I mean, not a dump truck here, but still, it looks like a construction vehicle of some kind. Also, another cool thing that I discovered when I first got these was that how X-Train Gold is gold with red highlights, and X-Train Silver is silver with blue highlights, and then it's opposite for the separately sold one. So Fire is silver with red highlights, and Gold is, and Thunder rather, is gold with blue highlights. Just kind of a neat observation. Now, before we get to combining these four together, the latter two trains, I'm just going to move these back real quick, do have some functionality with past sets. We've got a partially constructed Patranger here, not Patranger, Lupinranger rather, because these can form auxiliary arms, much like you would expect. All you really got to do is take these back-facing joints, put them off to whatever side they can, and also flip out a little panel or wing, and then just kind of stick it in whatever joint lines up with how it, fits like that to make an arm. So we have a combination here known in the show as Lupinranger trains. Again, very creative. We do have forward and backward motion on the arms, as you would expect, but there's also a little bit of in and out with the way that the joints are. And because it's kind of a thing we can do, it's kind of obligatory. We'll just show off the Patranger version, because the Patranger version was also seen in the show. Put that in there, put the flippy flaps up, and there you've got Patranger trains. Not really much else to him. Alright, let's get this out of the way and start preparing to combine. Okay, so to start off, make sure that X-Train Fire and X-Train Thunder are in their attack modes, and then we're going to attach X-Train Fire and X-Train Thunder to the backs of Silver and Gold. Rather, Thunder is going to go on the back of Silver, and Fire is going to go back on the back of Gold, so basically making sure that the joints match the color of the train that you're putting on. Like that, and then like that. Or even looking at it this way, the detailing on it, like the red with the red and the blue with the blue. That's a good way to put it too. Then what we're going to do is we're actually going to kind of position them like this, and Silver is going to run through this hole that's in the middle of Gold here, and it's just going to snap in place thusly to make an X formation. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I'll just squish it in like that to make it a little bit more like a letter X. And then we're going to take off this section on the front of X-Train Gold. We're going to need that later, so I'm going to put that off to the side here. Now we're going to make Lupin X's version of X-Emperor first. So basically the way that this works out is that for either combination, one color is going to be the arms and one color is going to be the legs. So in the case of X-Emperor Slash, the gold parts are going to be the legs. So for any leg combination, we're just going to ratchet in one peg and then flip up the feet. Pan up the camera real quick. Now the arms are just going to come down like so. Flip up the little shoulder wings. I'm just kind of holding the legs in place because it does have a tendency to kind of come apart unless it's held in place by another section I'm going to put in just a bit. This whole gun section is going to twist like this. And then you can also push the button and kind of bop the grip back a little bit like that. It even shows up like that in the show. Sometimes I don't bother because it's just gonna it doesn't stay in place very well, so I'm not gonna bother with that. Then we're going to take this section here, and this is going to have all of our faces that we're going to be using. And all we really need to do for right now is just flip up this black part, swing the red part like that, and you've got our Lupin face on there. And this is going to clip onto the back. So you got 2 clips on the corners here, and then 2 clips on the back. And this is actually going to hold the formation in place as well, and make it so that it doesn't kind of try to come apart. And here we have Ex-Emperor Slash. Ex-Emperor Slash gets its name from the fact that he has basically kind of a sword arm on this arm in the show. You can even see where on the toy it's kind of like elongated a bit to look like a blade. It's just not as much as it is on the show. And he also has a flamethrower arm, because that's cool too. This is a really neat formation, really nice look to it. I think I like this look the better out of the 2, personally. Maybe the other one is okay too, as we'll see, but this one is probably my favorite of the 2. You've got the little, I showed you the top hat on the Lupin face. You got the X right there, which is, front and center. So, all in all, pretty good. Now, to go to the other formation, we're just going to take the head part off. Put everything back to where it was in its X formation like this. Just kind of move those back into place as well. We're just gonna... He even does like a somersault or whatever, not somersault, a cartwheel. That's what it was. And then we're just gonna do, with the silver part, the silver limbs are gonna be the legs, so we're just gonna do the same thing we did with the gold ones to make them legs. The gold limbs are going to be arms, so we're just going to do the same thing we did before. Just there's little panels to come out instead of the little shoulder wings. We've got little panels. And I think it's a nice touch on the panels. They're showing like power sources for this. So you got like an engine on the normal like train, and then you have batteries on this one. I thought that was kind of a neat touch. Whoops. Make sure that doesn't really happen much. Also, take the grip gun part. We're going to turn it sideways like that, and then we're going to push the button in and bring this forward 90 degrees. Now, it did make mode changing noises, but it's still going to be doing the train noises in this mode, so I'm not going to show those off again. We already showed those off. So for the face module, we're going to just kind of put it back where it was. So like that, and then it's going to be up like this, and that's the head we're going to be seeing on this formation. So this is going to fit on exactly the same way. The clips are even going to be on in exactly the same fashion to fit perfectly. And here we have Ex-Emperor Gunner. Again, this is probably my least favorite of the 2. I've always been kind of weirded out by the fact that he just kind of has a gun jutting out and out the front and off to the side a bit. It looks a lot better on the show than it does on this. I mean, on the show he can like hold the gun while he does the finishing attack, but I still like some of the stuff that they did with the detailing on here. Like even on the show, there's this big connector port up in the head, and this is just another cannon. So overall, I do like this, but at the same time, again, not my favorite of the 2 modes. But of course, we're not done yet, because we're going everybody in the pool. One moment. Okay, now I know that I said it was everybody in the pool. It's not entirely accurate. Like a lot of the auxiliary components, like the Cyclone Dial Fighter and the Trigger Machine Biker, are not going to be going on this. It's just going to be the main ones that are used. So before we do anything, we're going to bring out Good Striker. I've already put him into his Kaiser transformation, because this is what we're going to be attaching everything to. Step 1, we're going to fold the wings out, so it's like this. And because it's easier to do it first, I know the instructions say to do the leg things first, or rather the feet attachments that we'll be seeing later. I personally like to do the arms first, because if you spin this around too much while it's on its glorified roller skates, as we'll see later, it does tend to make those glorified roller skates kind of pop off. So I'm going to go ahead and just put the arms on first. And the arms are the Titanic silver and gold X trains. So the way this is going to fit on, you've got one clip on this side and one clip on this side. And they're actually going to clip onto the clips that hold the wings in place when they're folded up like this. So they're basically using transformation clips as combination clips, which is a kind of a novel idea, but you know, there you go. So we gotta kind of mess with this so that it's kind of like this, just to make sure that we can fit it in. Like so. So it sits on like that. Basically, we're going to do the same thing with Gold Train. So we got the clip on there and the clip on there. So that's going to fit on thusly. And we're going to twist that, put it into place, and clip that in thusly. The gun grip is going to come down perpendicularly to everything else and clip in here to basically hold the arms in place and keep them from, you know, falling out or flopping around or something like that. So that's all in and good and secure. So I'm going to turn this back around, and also the joints on the top here are going to come out in an angle. Okay. Step 2. Let's pan down a bit. We're going to give him some shoes. The other X trains actually have a tab that pops up thusly. And these are going to clip to the inside of the legs, basically where there are clips that hold the legs together while he's in his not robot mode. But in this case, we're going to use them to hold on these. So he's going to, basically there's these little grooves. I know it's kind of hard to make it on camera, but there's these little grooves here. They're going to go up on these, I guess pegs is a good way to put it, and clip into place. And these are very unstable, unfortunately, but we got that. But we're not done with these. So it's looking a little, you know, Ultimate Daiboken-like. And then you realize we're going to add more components to the roller skates here. Trigger machine number 2, put it in its attack mode, and this is going to peg on to the outside of X-Train Thunder. Just make sure it's on there securely. And then trigger machine number 3, same sort of thing on the other side. I really don't like moving this around a lot because these can pop off fairly easily, as I said. Alright, let's pan back up here. Blue Dial Fighter is going to come on in, and we're going to basically put it into like a combination of his arm mode and the attack mode. Basically put it in his arm mode, except instead of popping up the arm like this, we're just going to deploy the chain gun, and that's going to go up onto the shoulder. Yellow we're just going to turn into the arm mode. And again, up on the shoulder. The head/face assembly is going to simply pop down this this black piece to reveal the new face, which looks kind of dumb, but this connector bit is going to go on to where the Lupinranger head would normally go. Bring in Red Dial Fighter in its normal mode. That's going to peg on the chest. And then Trigger Machine number 1 in its normal mode. That's going to peg onto the top. I'm going to just just push this back here so you can drink it all in. This, my friends, is Good Kuru Kaiser VSX. Where to begin? Okay, so for the name, I know that there is some arguments going about how it really translates. I know some people interpret it as good cool Kaiser, but I have read somewhere that the kudu does not translate to the English word cool because of how it's written, and it actually means something else entirely. So I know it's very weeaboo-ish, but it makes the most sense to me to just call it Good Kudu Kaiser, VSX. I'm going to get this out of the way. It looks incredibly stupid, incredibly dumb, but I do like it. As much as I would like to see the other auxiliary components in this somehow, I know there really isn't any room for them. Yes, I do have some gripes. I do hate how Trigger Machine number 1 is implemented to just be a hat. Okay, I don't hate it. I mean, I simultaneously, I have a love-hate relationship with this thing. So I think it's kind of a waste for it to be a hat. But at the on second thought, it's a hat, and it's really silly. I don't like how... One of the things I legitimately don't like is how they basically took 4 components and made them into shoes. I was off-put by the fact that Super Daiboken and Ultimate Daiboken did that with 2 of its components, turning them into shoes or roller skates. This one just took roller skates and then put other things on the sides. Other than that, though, I actually do like it. I like how silly it looks. I like how inane this concept is. I like the Ultra Magnus shoulders here. I like the basically having a shoulder-mounted Gatling gun and buzzsaw, which is used to very, very entertaining effect in the show. I mean, it's all CG, but you know. And you even have like a tripping thing. Like you can fold this in if you want to. I've seen it folded in on the show. But you can actually like extend that out and like trip up your foes, and like you can have like another like a shoe gun here, and you have a police car as a hat. I mean, it is a hot mess, and I love it. It's a good hot mess. It's a good hot mess for me. It's not like Mega Man X7 hot mess. This is a nice, refreshing, warm mess. I don't know if that's really a thing, but I'm making it a thing. So, yeah, that is the X-Emperor set, I guess you could say. I do enjoy it overall. I am enjoying this series of stuff so far. If you're looking to pick up the X-Emperor yourself, there are, much like the Kaiser formations, a couple ways that you can do that. Much like all the other VS vehicles, the X-Train Fire, X-Train Thunder, and Exchanger are all sold separately. That's how I got them, because the other method of getting them wasn't available to me at the time. And the other method is getting an X-Emperor set that has everything in the box. But at the same time, it is the same price. I think if you went with one over the other, you could probably... I mean, if you lived outside of Japan like I do, it would more or less be saving on shipping if that was a thing in this case. But the base price before shipping, it's all the same. So no matter if you get them piecemeal or if you get them as a set, you're still paying the same price. But if you are collecting for this series, I do recommend getting this to round out your collection. It's very, very nice, and you can make this monstrosity here. And when we return to Lupinranger vs. Patranger, hopefully I'll have Jackpot Striker. I actually could not order it right away due to reasons, and I currently have it on back order. So hopefully I'll get that sooner rather than later. But as of this recording, the Magic Dial Fighter is also out. So once I get paid and have more money and have paid my rent and taken care of everything I need to take care of on the livelihood side of things, I'll pick that up and show that off as well. But yeah, until then, I've been Rado Goji, and I'll be here next time. Join me, won't you?